And we're live? Good. Right. All right. Welcome, everybody. We're going to have our regular meeting in a little time, but now I'm going to turn it to Mr. Schlicka for our budget workshop.
Hello, sorry about that. One of my other machines went off. Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the budget workshop tonight, Tuesday, April 6, 2021. One of the very first things I'd like to discuss with everyone and to the general public tonight is a modification to our budget calendar. I'll point everyone to the bottom right corner to notice that the budget vote and board meeting has been changed to May 11th in observance of a religious holiday. So this has been changed again. It's been back 1 week to May 11th. Very important for all of our voters for the election and the school budget vote that it has been changed to May 11th. The rest of this is basically just for your edification. Basically from May 11th backwards, if you take a look at the dates, most of those dates have been backed up basically by 7 days. Not all of them needed to be, but like the budget hearing, for example, has also been backed up to May 4th. That's what's one other date I'll pick out here. You can see we're next to my pointer. And the rest are just particular items that we have to file either with the state or localities. Moving on, what do we know right now from the state legislature? As of this morning, I received a brief update from this morning, and basically right now, not much has changed. There's still a rejection of the governor's proposed cut in state aid, local district funding adjustments by consolidating all of our expense-based aids into a grant situation, and then cutting that grant basically. Right now, they are looking at a proposed increase in foundation aid of about $1.4 billion, which equates to about 2% above the 2021 funding levels. They've also agreed in a renewed period of transportation and building aid forgiveness to shift the state care of some special education costs onto the districts. They do agree to allow some of the transportation aid for related items through June 7th, 2020. The ones on the bottom here are still out, whether or not they're going to allow the use of unrestricted reserves or restricted reserve funds for associated pandemic costs as well. And I've heard nothing yet going forward of whether or not the 8% for 5 years or 6% for 3 years is still going to exist to enable us to increase our fund balance levels in school districts. There is still some discussions on the digital divide discussions, as we had mentioned, and there are some retirement incentive proposals on the table still. So those are what we know so far. Still nothing cut in stone. Some of the things that we're of course moving forward in our preliminary budget, you can see our tax levy increase was 0.98%. Our budget to budget increase is 0.56% for a total proposed budget of $144,842,711. Our anticipated expenditures, as you can see in the bottom lines, are $144,842,711 for a difference. The increase equates to $808,897, or just a little over 0.5% change year over year. Our revenues, as you can see, our tax levy, the increase we're proposing right now is just under 1% at 0.98, or $1,105,808, for a total revenue difference, an increase of $808,000 altogether. I will now go into our tax levy. One of the things I'd like to point out is our tax cap calculation. The district's tax cap maximum allowable tax levy came out to 1.79%, or just over $2 million that the district could have raised its tax levy. I'll go back one slide. Whoa, I'm sorry, I'll go back one slide and show that we're just a little over half of what we could have raised. We're using $1.1 million of the $2 million that we could have raised on the tax levy. So we're just at 50%. So that's actually a good thing, but we are leaving 50% on the table. And moving forward, that could be a dangerous situation for a lot of school districts and for us potentially, because as some of you may know, if you take a look at our state aid runs, currently our state aid runs use about $3.9 million or just under $4 million in federal funding to support our state aid. In other words, they reduced our state aid and supplanted it with federal funding, as we know with the CARES Act. And there's been all kinds of numbers out there with the CARES Act of who's going to get what. I will caution you again, as of this morning, another memo came out from the State Education Department that said, don't believe any of that. We will give you the numbers when we're ready to give you the numbers. But currently the last number we had was about approximately $5.1 million, which again, we have about a $4 million hole in our current state aid run to fill. We would also be sharing those dollars with non-public school districts because they would be using the Title I rules that we use for grants. So we would have to share up to approximately 10 to 15% of that money with non-public schools. So again, the dollars work out that it looks like we're going to be just about even if I use that $5.1 million. But again, I caution everyone because they came out this morning and warned everyone that none of the numbers out there are exact. The state has not come out and given anyone any exact numbers. So again, just a word of caution. We have a proposition also with this year's budget to renovate some roofs at the Cherry Lane Elementary School and the middle school. We also have something new in letter C here to replace 2 current existing cast iron steam boilers with high efficiency hot water condensing boilers at our RP Connor Elementary School. This will also include all the expenses to convert the remaining steam heat systems to hot water. Approximately half the building right now is running on steam and the other half is on a hot water system. So that will be accomplished in 2 phases during 21-22 and 22-23 school years for approximately $2.9 million. And the roofs are approximately $1.9 million, obviously the balance, at a cost not to exceed $4.812 million, all to be paid from the district's capital reserve fund, which was established back in May of 2017, which we fund annually. So there will be no new tax required to fund us proposition number 2. Here's a photo of the Cherry Lane roofs that will be taken care of. I would like to say I give a real good hand to John Palma and his folks with the roofing. These roofs typically would have been almost twice what it would have been to renovate these roofs with the new system they're using now. There's our middle school roofs that we're going to be doing as well. And here's a picture of the boilers at RP Connor. As you can see on the right and the left, boiler number 1 and boiler number 2. And the nice condensing boiler that we'd like to use is what we'll replace it with, is right in the middle of the photo. So as you can see, looking at the photos on the right and the left, these photos don't really do the rust and the rot, if you will, justice on these. These boilers are basically leaking all over the floor, one of them worse than the other. So that's why we're going to do this in 2 phases. We'll replace one of the boilers this year, and we'll continue to run half the building on steam and the other half on hot water with these new condensing boilers. And then next summer, the summer after that in 22-23, we'll replace the last boiler, which is leaking the least, and then we'll be all done. So I want to thank you very much. And if you have any questions at this time, I'll entertain your questions. Thank you so much.
Steve?
Yes.
On that budget, you have the other for the $5,922,000. Can you basically give us again, basically what is that standing for? What is in that 5 million? So we can see.
Give me just a second. And that 5 million, it was in actually one of our presentations, and most of that 5 million, 2.1 million of it is land balance, and a lot of almost $1 million of it, I believe, was for BOCES items. The other portion, of course, is textbooks that we had described, and other items such as trainings and the like. There was a whole list that was in our last presentation.
Steve, so proposition 2.
Yes.
It's a total of 2.9 million, correct?
For the boilers only.
Oh, well, okay. It was, but the total
Boilers are 2.9 million, and the total was not to exceed 4,812,000.
I'm curious, just if you have it, what is our current fund balance? Like how much is in that capital reserve fund at the moment?
I believe there's just shy of $4 million currently in that.
Okay, and we're putting in
that exact number and certainly email it to you later on.
And we're putting in 700,000 a year. That was
we put in 700,000 a year, plus we also put in additional unspent funds at the end of the year needed also, because you have to remember there's two sources here. There's a $10 million, there's a one for $10 million, and then there's another one for another $7 million that was approved by the voters. So we're funding both of them every year.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, what about the any federal money coming in from CARES Act or anything from the feds coming into our district that you may know of?
Well, currently, like I had mentioned earlier, so far we have a number, believe it or not, of $5.2 million. Again, in our state aid runs, you'll notice almost $4 million of that is being supplanted by the state of New York, or basically our foundation aid. That's what we're looking at right now. Those are the hard numbers that we have right now. Now, there is some talk about a potential, again, 1.4 billion addition to foundation aid, which again could mean an increase of up to 2% for us and for every school district across the state. But again, that hasn't been finalized. That's right now just on paper.
Is that 2% on the 5.1 million or on the 1.4 million?
No, it would currently be, we receive just over $11 million in foundation aid every year, right. approximately 12, let's call it 12. So we receive 2% of that. Obviously you'd receive, 2% of the 12 million.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any other questions for Steve?
Steve, you got a sharp pencil there. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure.
Steve, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So that will conclude our budget workshop. Then at this time, we will recall to order the meeting of the Suffern Central Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, April 6th, 2021. Public hearing on district-wide safety plan. I know we don't really have a public here, but just anybody submit anything about the plan? Okay. So, all right. So 1.06, we'll move on from that. Pledge of allegiance, please rise for the pledge. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Student report.
Hi everyone. So tonight I'm so sorry about my dogs. I'm sorry. Tonight I'm just going to start off by reminding you that quarter 3 ends next Friday on April 16th. Spring sports will begin on Monday, April 19th, and the registration is now open. There will be an ACT exam held at Suffern High School on Saturday, April 17th. The musical is also being filmed throughout the week, and we are hoping for a release in early June of the finalized movie. For sports, our swim team is 5-1 with their only loss coming by a margin of a point. The football team is 2-1 after a big win on Thursday night. Our girls volleyball team is 4-2 with a win over North Rockland last week, and our boys volleyball team is currently 2-2 for this season. Lastly, History Honor Society is in the process of putting together the induction ceremony video, and it should be released soon. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Melissa, thank you. Great job as usual. And give the dogs a hug for me.
Of course. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. 1.09 minutes of the regular meeting of March 16th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Dr. Nickpon, there's a second.
Second.
Mr. McKenzie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Any abstentions? Okay. 1.10, minutes of the special meeting of March 20th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Dr. Nickpon, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Frazier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those against? Any abstentions? 1.11, minutes of the special meeting of March 21st, 2021. Do I have a motion? Dr. Nickpon, do I have a second? Second. Mr. Frazier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Any abstentions? 1.12, minutes of the special meeting of March 25th, 2021. Do I have a motion? Dr. Nickpon, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Shapiro. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Any abstentions? All right. 1.13, acting superintendent comments.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I want to start, Mr. Coronado, if you could please put up our marigolds from March. These are our staff members that have been recognized by their colleagues as being marigolds, which for those of you who are gardeners know that a marigold is a companion plant that helps the plants around it grow just by its mere presence. So we started this program earlier this year to give our staff an opportunity to recognize their colleagues who have helped them grow over the past month. So we congratulate the many staff members that are being recognized this month. All of our marigolds have been recognized throughout the year. Coming in May, coming shortly, we'll be making a donation to each of our schools and each of our school gardens to plant marigolds in honor of all of this year's recipients. As we continue looking at that, just a few more updates. A reminder that our budget vote, as Mr. Schleicher mentioned, has been moved to May 11th. So that's our budget vote and board election. As Mr. Schleicher mentioned, that moves back several of the dates by a week. So if you're interested in an absentee ballot, submitting petitions for running for the board, be sure to check that calendar and make sure you know when your dates are. I'd also like to remind everyone that we're very excited. We sent a communication out right before break. We're excited that we're going to be coming back full-time, 5 days a week in May for all of our schools. So we're working now to get those, all the preparations in order for that. Even over break, new information came out from the New York State Department of Health. So we're working on all the regulations associated with that, and you can expect more detailed information probably in about 2 weeks. And lastly, kind of goes hand in hand with that, today was a big day for our high school students who are 16 and older and are now eligible for the COVID vaccine. So I know I have been trying all day to get an appointment for my 16-year-old unsuccessfully because they can only get Pfizer. But those vaccines are out there, and I hope that we have students who will take advantage of that. And I know that many of the high schoolers are just excited because it'll mean they don't have to quarantine. So we look forward to that kind of going hand in hand with our return to school 5 days a week. And that's it for now.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Yes, I know. Not just the kids are excited to go back, but I'm sure all the parents are excited for their kids to go back 5 days a week. I certainly don't know any speaking about, But yes, I think that's great, and I think everybody's looking forward to that. Okay, 1.14, public participation on action items only. Nothing? Okay. Action items. Now, before we get to action items, we do have one resolution that does need to be added. So at this time, I would make a motion to amend the agenda to add what would be action item 2.14, and the resolution would be it resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the law firm of Shaw, Carlson, May, and Lambert LLP to file an appeal from the March 24, 2021 decision and order of the court in East Ramapo Central School District for Suffern Central School District, index number 032417/2020, at the law firm 2021 school year hourly rate of $200 per hour. So again, this motion is simply to add this item to the agenda, not to actually vote on the resolution. So do I have a motion to add this item?
Moved.
Mr. Frazier. Second?
Second.
Mr. Cairns. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Or are there any questions? I'm sorry, any discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, all those against? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. So Heather will add that as action item 2.14. Okay. Okay. All right. So we have action items 2.01 through 2.14. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull at this time? Anybody?
I think it was 2.14.
That's what we just added.
No, I'm sorry, 2.10, the budget transfer. My apologies.
Sorry, 2.10.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other items? Okay. Then we'll call for a consent agenda for action items 2.01 through 2.09 and 2.11 through 2.14. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Moved.
Oh, God. Mr. McKenzie, there a second?
Second.
Mr. Shapiro? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, 2.10. This is the budget transfer. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Mr. McKenzie, Dewsbury, second.
Second.
Mr. Shapiro, discussion.
I was just curious, what was the purpose for the budget transfer? Why did we have to move money around for this? It seems like a really small amount, but I was just curious, just to cover wing cap advance. But I wanted to just have somebody if they could clarify it.
So all budget transfers over $5,000 need to be approved by the board. Up to $5,000, the superintendent can approve, but anything beyond that. And this is, and Mr. Schleicher, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a more sophisticated use of the WinCap program, which is like our financial program that we use. And so this allows us to use the online component in a more sophisticated way. And Mr. Schleicher, if you want to elaborate on that at all, please feel free.
No, you summed it up very well. Thank you. That's very correct.
What special options does it give, Mr. Schleicher?
Well, it gives us some of the options to pay our bills electronically now without having to write checks. It also allows us now to deal with vendors directly electronically as well without having to mail items back and forth. It allows us to take advantage of a paperless environment. We've been trying to go paperless as much as possible, of course, in the school district and in the business office.
And Mr. Schleicher, would it be correct to say that all of the checks and balances are still in place? They're just in place electronically, so things still need to be signed off on and all of that. It's an electronic signature as opposed to a paper handwritten signature.
That's correct. We've been working with our claims auditor as we work through this. Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Weber and Mr. Schleicher.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. So 2.10, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those against? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you very much. No reports, no discussion items. 6.01, board member comment. Anybody? No? Nobody? Not gonna come.
So I just wanted to say a few words about Suffern sports. The last several weeks, I've been watching a lot of sports, watching a lot of things online, live streamed. And it's very encouraging to me to see things getting somewhat back to normal on the sporting fields and courts. It's really exciting to see the kids so happy and participating. I want to, all the sports have been great, and I want to acknowledge all the sports, but in particular, I want to acknowledge the football team. It was referenced that they had a big win on Thursday, and in all transparency, I have a vested interest in that team as my son plays on that team. But we went to the game on Thursday night, and it was extremely cold and actually snowed, and it actually reminded me of being out, at a game in October, and it kind of flashed me back to that, those times of going to games, and the team played extremely well, and I was very proud of all the members of the team, and the coaches worked really hard with them, and they weren't expected to win. LoHUD really predicted a very severe loss that Suffern was supposed to suffer, and it was actually the opposite, and Suffern won handily. So I was really happy to see them play so well, and all the teamwork that they exhibited was really nice to see on the field. And secondly, I want to give a shout out to Cosmo Damiani, who won a New York State wrestling title, the 99-pound weight class. So this was a New York State journeyman tournament that really is taking the place of the public school tournament, and they ran it this past weekend, and Cosmo actually won the 99-pound weight class. So I just wanted to give him congratulations from myself and the board as well. So it really is nice to see all these kids doing their sports, and I just want to give a shout out to everyone.
That was great, thank you. Anybody else? Let Dr. Nick Palmer go out on that high note. All right, so we'll close board member comments. Public participation on any district related matters? Nothing. Okay. Wow. Close that portion of the meeting. 8.01, acting superintendent closing comment.
So my closing comments include congratulations to Cosmo for winning the Journeyman State Wrestling Championship. So many of our kids didn't have opportunities to participate in postseason. So, the opportunity to do that and then to win is really extraordinary. So congratulations to Cosmo and his family. I also want just another reminder in case someone's listening to this part and they missed the 2 previous times we mentioned it tonight, that the budget vote date has been changed to May 11th. I also want to mention some of our end of year plans. I know there's been a lot of anticipation. We know that the high school and middle school graduations will be held at Boulder Stadium in late June. We are still making decisions about the elementary moving up ceremonies, and we expect to have information on that, I would say, in the next month or so. We have a little more time to plan those. They're smaller groups. They're less complicated. But we are, just so you know, we are talking about those and making decisions on what we can do safely and provide unique experiences for all of our students who are moving on. And that's all I have.
Great. I got to tell you, when we started this meeting, and for those of you that are watching who weren't tuned in at the beginning, we started this meeting today at 4 o'clock. We had a very hefty executive agenda. We had some meetings as part of it. And I fully expected to be here until at least 9:30. So this is a very pleasant surprise. And just in case it hasn't been mentioned yet already, the budget vote is moved. May 11th. So just so everybody knows, budget vote, board elections, May 11th. Okay. That will do it. So I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Move. Dr. Nick Palmer, second.
Second.
Mr. Shapiro. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Anybody want to say? All right. Well, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much. We will see you back here in 2 weeks.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
Now you